but you're not using the term brief. Is that correct?
Sir, I'm not using the word brief nor the word pause. What I stated was a 45-day period for consolidation and evaluation. That's to examine the situation on the ground, do the battlefield geometry, consult with Ambassador Crocker on what might be called the political military calculus, and then conduct the assessments. And when the assessment is at a point that the conditions are met to recommend reduction of forces, then that's what we would do. So the bottom line, sir, is that it's this period after which we do the assessments, and as the conditions are met for further reductions, then we make those recommendations.
Now, if do you have any estimate at all as to how long that second period is going to take? Are you giving us any idea as to how long that will take? You say over time.
Sir,
could that be a month? Could that be 2 months?
Sir, it could be less than that. Could
it be more than that?
It could be more than that. Again, it's when the conditions are met that we can make a recommendation for further reductions.
Could it be 3 months?
Sir, again, at the end of the period of consolidation and evaluation, it could be right then, or it could be longer. Again, it is when.
Can you? If you could please, we're asking the audience. If you could bring the gentleman out. I'm afraid we're going to have to ask him to leave.
Bring them home!
General.
Bring them home! Bring them home!
General, we're going to ask you this question again. Could it be as long as 3 months?
Sir, it could be.
Okay, that's all I'm asking.
It is when the conditions are met.
I understand, but I'm just asking you a direct question. Could that be as long as 3 months?
It could be, sir.
Could it be as long as 4 months?
Sir, it is when the conditions are met. Again.
Now, next question. If all goes well, what would be the approximate number of our troops there at the end of the year? Let's assume conditions permitted things to move quickly. What, in your estimate, would be the approximate number of American troops there at the end of the year? Can you give us just say if you can't give us an estimate?
All right, sir, I can't give you an estimate.
You're not going to give us an estimate on that. Next question. General, an April 3rd article in the New York Times said that before the Iraqi government's assault on the Mahdi army in Basra, you counseled Prime Minister Maliki, quote, "We made a lot of gains in the past 6 to 9 months that you'll be putting at risk." The article also states that you advised him not to rush into a fight without carefully sizing up the situation and making adequate preparations. Now, did he follow your advice?
Sir, he laid out a plan that would, in fact, incorporate that advice.
All right. Did he follow your advice then?
And once the forces got into Basra, they ended up going into action more quickly than was anticipated.
Would you say that Maliki followed your advice?
I would not, no, sir.
In your judgment, was the Iraqi government operation in Basra properly and carefully planned, and were the preparations adequate? In your professional judgment, was the Iraqi government operation in Basra properly and carefully planned, and were the preparations adequate?
Sir, there's no question but that it could have been better planned and that the preparations could have been better. And we've already done initial after-action reviews on that, in fact, there and also in Baghdad.
I understand the report that came afterward, but I wonder if we could get a direct answer to your question, to my question. Could you give me a direct answer? In your judgment, was the Iraqi government operation in Basra properly and carefully planned, and were the preparations adequate? Could you give me a direct answer?
Sir, the answer is, again, it could have been much better planned. It was not adequately planned or prepared. I mean, again, it was laid out to us. The objectives were described, and in fact, the process as it was laid out was logical, but I've not seen too many combat operations that have gone as they were planned, and this was not one either. The forces were deployed very rapidly, And before all conditions were set as they might have been, they were in combat.
General, to summarize in terms of where I think that testimony leads me to conclude that not to conclude, I'll base my statement on your testimony. It was inadequately planned, it was inadequately prepared, and then that led to the followed by the use of American troops on that kind of planning that is totally unacceptable to me. And I think that this open-ended pause that you have recommended takes the pressure off Iraqi leaders to take responsibility for their own country.